All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. So grateful to bring this moment for us at Triumphant Life, and many of the people that have been with me. I had kept promising I was going to do this and just kind of have a candid conversation and talk about the election. I mean, it's right upon us, just a few days away, and I think it's so imperative that we have this conversation. So as you're coming in, please know I love for your comments and conversation. So if you're coming in, love for you just post a comment, say you're here, hello, and talk back to me. And I have a few of our candidates here already. So as we prepare, I'm going to give just about 8 more minutes before we kick off. Hello, Tay. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining. I will tell you now. So let me just kind of set the precursor up. I never tell who I'm voting for or what I'm doing. And so I kind of try to stay right in the middle. My thing is I want to promote all of these individuals, and many of them I know. The two that I'm going to bring up front, I know personally, and they're really great people. And so I'm bringing some from Asbury, some from Neptune. I know many of you are from both areas. I know we have some people from other places. So I am going to overall election after this is on as well. So go ahead and share. All right, sorry about that. We're working with internet, so so we had a little break in our broadcast. But as we were saying, let's go ahead and share. Looking for our Triumphant Life people that are both in Neptune, Asbury Park area. I see some people from Tenton Falls. It's okay. Stay Red Bank area. I want you to stay on here as well. We're going to get started in a few minutes, but let me just go ahead and set the tone. I shared with you. I got my ballot in, and we know our ballots they're okay to fill it out in its entirety. Do not vote in this. This is so imperative. Let me say that this is an important year to vote for every area, for a freeholder, for committee, for a county clerk. Write something in everywhere. And I'm not going to tell you everywhere to write, but I am going to tell you it's imperative that you know the issues, know what they're talking about, and know what you believe in, and know what you're standing for. Don't just go by the rhetoric of CNN and Fox News and all that's going on, or even locally. Just really get to know the candidates that are running, and that's what tonight is about. Is hopefully for you to get to know who's running and who's on. And so do me a favor, want to continue to increase our viewership. So go ahead and share and also continue to pass it on to others and let's get everybody on for tonight. All right. So we're going to get started in about 5 minutes. And while we're talking, let me hear your questions. Those who are on with me right now, if you're on with me and you have some questions or thoughts about first, let's talk about the big election. They always say Joseph Biden, Donald Trump, Joseph R. Biden. That's how you say it, Joseph, and Kamala, and Donald J. Trump, and Mike Pence. Of course, that debate was a humdinger. That was hard one to listen through. Whether you were a Republican or Democrat, that was a real difficult show to kind of muster around. But the fact remains, regardless of the show, please do me a favor. And I don't want to spend too much time on our presidential election right now, because I want to get into our candidates. We're going to go in early because they're here. And I know one of them, they both have a lot of information to share with us. It is very hard to vote in this season, but against hard vote because it's choosing the lesser of two evils. Oh wow, Tay. Yeah, it is a hard vote. I mean, some people think it's easy. Oh, just get Donald Trump out of office. And I hear you. But there's some things that Joe Biden keeps saying that really kind of makes my stomach turn a little bit. Some of his statements, and so it's just great, great to kind of have this dialogue to kind of think through it. So after this, all right, we're getting our numbers up. Let's continue to come on, keep going. I see another Felicia Simmons. I see you in our back area, so you made it to the right place. So our candidates are joining us. I want to get started a little early. I know it's a little early. We have about a few people on, and I know you may be joining from different areas, but please, once again, share. Those who are members of mine, I encourage you to share your page. Let's kind of get this thing up where we have people watching this, because I think this is important. So I'm going to bring first one of the candidates, Diana Harris. I'm going to bring her up first. We talked and had a conversation, but I want to bring her on because there's so much swarming around her situation that seems to be some untruths, and so and I'll let her clear it up. I'm not going to try to get into the miry elements of it, but I want her to talk it out with us so you hear it. I got some put in my mailbox, and I was like, what? I know this lady. Who are they talking about? And I was like, this is crazy. And so we want to first, I'm going to bring her on and let her kind of just introduce herself to you as well. And I see Miss Regina, I see you back there in our back office area. Okay, so you're backstage. I see you, just so you're aware that I see you back there as well. And I have a few candidates that are having some trouble. They're having some trouble. I don't see him. Sorry. All right. My apologies. I have a few candidates that are kind of lost, trying to find their way. Okay. All right. So let's get started. I want to bring her on. Let's bring her in here. Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
Better than ever. So glad to have you with us on tonight for our candid conversations with our candidates. So, I've known you, but introduce yourself to those who are on with us on tonight.
Okay. My name is Diana Harris, and I am running for Neptune Township Board of Education. I am a graduate of Neptune High School, a longtime resident of Neptune. This is my town. This is my town. I love it, but I want to see things better, particularly within the school system. So that's what's important to me. There hasn't been some things out there, as a pastor mentioned, as far as the flyer that was distributed. I don't know who's doing this. And at this point, my objective is really just to let you guys know really who I am and what I represent. In spite of all of this, we have to stay focused on what our platform is. And now when I say our platform, I'm talking about the Neptune Edge, which is Tavia Robinson and Regina Glisson and myself, who are three strong Black women who are about change for the Neptune school system. Our platform is really about accountability. We're talking about transparency. We're talking about performance, which we really, when we got together as a team, we did a lot of research on that as far as finding out what the test scores were looking like in Neptune. And we found them to be below state standards. But knowing what we know, especially as being former teachers or retired teachers, is that there's that little window in there that tells that, okay, whatever the percentage of improvement is, they're making that. So with that said, they can get out of that rut. They can. They just need a lot of encouragement, all right, and some direction, and really some very detailed looking at the numbers to really look to see where the problems are. A lot of times they do lie with us as far as I would say the African American or the people of color that exist within the district. That seems to be a problem area for us. But I don't want to sit here and blame it on that, because there are other things too.
Well, because I got Regina back there, and I want you guys to be on the same team. Like, I want to kind of interview you guys together. So, but there's some stuff that's going around. I got a letter in my mailbox all about you, and it was like, what? Like, I know this lady who's putting the smut on the ground and throwing stuff out. Some of the things are very horrible. I want you to address that very quickly, because I want to kind of pull Regina in with you very quickly and kind of get to know her, and then ask you both a question to kind of introduce you to the public from this platform. So talk to me. I mean, I got the letter upstairs. I ran down here and I forgot to have the letter. They put this letter. I don't need to. I don't need to show the letter. Talk to us about some of the content that's in there. Let's dispel some of the rumors.
Well, there was a lot of reference to myself and my character. They named off about 6 or 7 things that they thought that were critical of my election. And when I read that, I said, this is personal. And I thought really hard and deep, as to who have I offended? I mean, that they have come up with all of these personal accusations against me.
Right.
I really don't. But I do know that there were some parts in there that says I'm a Republican. This is a nonpartisan election, and it really doesn't matter. But if they must know, I am a registered independent and have been for most of my life until recently that I switched over to being a Democrat simply because I wanted to vote in the primary.
So
Now,
wait, let me stop there because this is important because our viewers need to realize this. The registering as an independent, and I probably should be registered independent because I will flip at any point based off of who suits my really the desires that line up with my views and my values and so forth. So it's imperative that this piece of literature that they put out saying she's a closet Republican, I'm a closet Republican if that's the case. I just want to say that because so many people, I'm a closet Democrat sometimes. I'm a closet Republican. You don't know what I'm going to do until I decide to vote. And I think we need to say that. So for people, when you see this piece of literature that's going around and then it says Black Lives Matter, this is the most insulting piece of equipment, a piece of information I've ever seen for someone to say that a Black person don't care about Black Lives Matter. It's so dumb. I just want to say that to the public, for those who are watching. This was the dumbest letter. You probably, if you're in Neptune, you got this piece of literature that's garbage you got it, identify and expose. It's the stupidest piece of information. Please do not believe dumb information. When someone puts about a Black person don't care about Black Lives Matter, it's ignorant. So whoever wrote it and put it out is an ignorant piece of paper. But I just wanted to kind of say that. I'm sorry I jumped in.
I appreciate your comments. I really do. But only thing I'm saying to the public is this: judge me on what I do. All right. Judge me and not what other people think about me or whatever. Really look at me as a candidate and say, is this the type of person that I want that's going to fight for my kids, and do what's right as far as the betterment of their education. Okay. And there's some things that we need people that's going to speak out, and not just go along to get along. We really bring out the issues and what the problems are, identify those problems and make sure they're being dealt with. But I say that to say thank you, Pastor, for allowing that to come out, because it is. Judge me. I'm president of Merck. I do a lot of things in the community, and I'm not going to be one here to toot my horn. But if you go onto our website, you'll find out all of that. But I care about the community, and I care about your children, and I'm sure everybody that's running. But I have proof. I have proof in the things that I have done, and the children that I have come across here in Neptune and tried to help out wherever I can. So, that's what's important. So don't believe the hype. That's what I'm talking about. The hype.
All right. But let's do that. And that's what this is all about. And I want to make sure we get, now I'm going to put you backstage. I'm going to bring Regina up because she's your running mate. I see her on, and I don't know. I see Tyva. I see her there as well. She's back there. So I want to bring her up really quick and then and introduce you guys and let you guys kind of say who you are. All right. So thank you so much. I'm going to bring you back and for some questions. Okay. All right. Regina, hello there.
Hello.
Thank you guys for jumping right in here.
Wonderful. My pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Tell us about who you are.
Okay. Well, who I am is, as I've shared during the candidates forum that we completed last week, I am Neptune. I say that because I was born and raised. I was born at the hospital that was Fitkin's Hospital at that time, just to go to show you how, without kind of dating myself on that. But I am Regina Glisson.
That's below 1974.
Well, a little bit, a little bit, this much. So I am a board certified nurse practitioner by profession. I'm also a certified nurse educator. So my story is I am running for a seat on the Board of Education in honor of my nephew. Gerald Glisson, Dr. Gerald Glisson. He had his doctorate in education. He was my nephew. He was the principal at the Eastside High, the school known as the Stand By Me school. That was my nephew. And prior to his becoming sick, we lost him to COVID, May 3rd. Prior to his becoming sick, he sent me a text to say, Auntie, I've been talking with some people, and yes, my 6'5", 200 plus linebacker nephew called me Auntie. He's saying, I've been talking with some people and we think you should run for a seat. And first I was doing something around the house and he said, I was like, who, me? Like you, right? And he's like, no, you. So after my tears slowed some, because, it doesn't stop, I was able to draw on some of the messages that he and I shared with the phone. And I'd come across that. And I decided that I would do that in honor of him. And so I was speaking with a mutual friend. I mentioned that, and this friend introduced myself to Diana and Tavia. And that's how the Edge has become these three dynamic women of Neptune. Awesome. Yes, we are Black women, but much of what we have to say is because we are born and raised here in Neptune. We care about the community and we care about the children. And so it was through our conversations that we drew upon looking at the reports. One of my roles in working as a nurse practitioner, I worked for a community-based clinic, was that I was the quality assurance / quality improvement, performance improvement director. So I established that program, and it allows you to look at where a practice is going, where a practice has been, and to assess issues before they can happen. So quality assurance is looking at something after it's happened. Quality improvement is anticipating something before it can happen and become a bad event. So immediately I go to the State of New Jersey Department of Education's website and I look at the school's number and reporting performance, and they were abysmal. So that basically is what we've built our platform, from that. So as I take my walk and I've become an avid gardener as a result of COVID and being locked in and all those things. And
I too, let me join you in there.
I just plucked my first green squash yesterday. But I've taken up canning and all those other things as well. I have some wonderful little products and things. But, it all started in honor of my nephew. But, when I think about it, I was asked, well, why do you think he wanted you to do it? His message was because I wouldn't take any stuff and I couldn't be bought. So basically his aunt has integrity.
That's good.
What I would like to say, I just want to take a second to address the letter because, I called him on.
Before you jump to it, let me just say I grew up with Gerald Glisson, played with him. Yes. And Gerald was the person who, when I was going through trouble in school, was the one that protected me through times. Protected and been with me. So I just wanted to, I know that this off topic, but I just kind of throw that in. And so
he's a great man.
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of him. Loved him to life, very proud of him.
I just wanted to put that in.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for that.
Tell us. Go
ahead.
Yeah.
So when I didn't read it fully because I recognized just on how it looked what they were trying to do, and quite frankly anticipated it based on how we as a team performed and presented our case. Anticipated something would come. And I even said, all right, now we have to look out. Something's going to happen. And that letter came. I will say when I shared the story with someone, they said, well, what did it say? I said, well, they accused her of being a Republican. That's all I had. Really, that's all I had. Because I've come to work at the community garden because of Diana.
Yeah.
So if someone who will spend their time to go to that garden, and it was 90 to 100 degrees some days, and work in there for hours and then not go home and just take a shower and relax and rest, but then take it to a center and take it to the senior citizen and then go feed these people as well. And then to give of her time to care about how these kids are performing.
Yeah.
Then, okay. Then take that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like, really, what are you saying about her? She cares about the kids. She cares about the community, obviously, because that's been her performance. That's been her actions.
Look,
So
I vouch for that one there.
okay. And one of the things I said to Diane, I said, it comes down to you're a whistleblower. You sat on that board for the that you were on the board and you said, we have a problem.
Yeah.
We have a problem. And I can't sit on this board like this. She could have taken the road of running with the other incumbents, but she did not. She stepped out first.
Yeah, that's good.
She stepped out first.
Absolutely. And
so I'm honored to be part of that.
Awesome. All right, listen, I want to pull in very quickly. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to bring you back if you could stay on. We have a lot of people in the back area. I see you, Rob. I just want to make sure you know I see you guys. I know Felicia's on it. I see. I want to make sure I pronounce your name right. Amin. Shake your head if I'm saying it right. No, he'll come in and correct me. We have Tava back there. I'm going to bring her in. So give us a minute. I'm going to switch people here, and let me bring Kevin in because also Kevin is he's been in early, and if he has to slip out, I want to get him in really quick as well. But hopefully he can stay with us. But I'm going to bring him in. Kevin. I mean, I won't talk about what went on, but he's running hard and going for a write-in. That means you have to write his name in. So I want to share with you, kind of bring him in, and you should know him already, but let's bring him in as well so you can introduce himself.
Thank you very much, Pastor Akins. It's indeed a pleasure and an honor to be here with the Triumphant Life family. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin Mckeon. I've been on the Township Committee 18 years. I've been mayor 3 terms, and I'm running as a write-in for the Neptune Township Committee. Unfortunately, I didn't win the primary. I lost the primary by 2 votes, but normally I would be on the
votes?
Line.
2 votes?
By 200 votes. 200 votes.
200. Oh, I said 2 votes. Oh my God.
200 votes. Okay. But basically, I decided just to stand up for good government because I felt that the committee people, not all of them, but the ones that we did have, there were a couple of them, were not in the best interest of the community as related to the goals and things of that nature and their principles. And you may ask yourself, wow, if Kevin was there, we have 5-0, we can get everything that we want passed. But I was, I stood alone. I stood by myself because there were some things I just didn't like, reviewing the specific contracts that we had with some of our professionals, giving us blank invoices, charging us $2,500 a month, and no description. And my thing was, you couldn't have a contractor come to your house, do $2,500 worth of work, and not give you a detailed idea of what the bill was for. So I looked at the tax dollars just being as my dollars, having frivolous lawsuits that we have and harassment lawsuits that cost us thousands of dollars. And I think that to stand up against that, I was put off the line, and that's okay because when I first wrote
wait, slow down, because you're saying so much that the people of Neptune need to hear.
They need to hear that.
You saying too much detail that and if you can be open as you want, this is the forum.
Okay.
First of all, I see a question. Why is he a write-in? Shannon, so just to explain to you, if you missed it, he lost the primaries by 200, so he had to be a write-in. He was just getting into why he was ousted from this process because
that was the district leaders that vote to interact. In Neptune, there are 20 districts, and there's a male and female, 2 district leaders for each district. So my colleagues, because I was questioning their practices, stacked a vote against me and went out as a campaign because I was against them in terms of the practices that they were doing. And I'm just so glad that we were able to get them removed from the police oversight committee because they used the police oversight committee to harass and intimidate employees. But a lot of people thought that they were doing civil review complaints and things of that nature, but that wasn't the case at all. We did not get a report as to their activities. I began to question that along with the legal fees, we had attorneys that we were used that were indicted, and they still wanted to.
Oh my gosh, this is juicy. This is too juicy.
You can make an Oprah. We call it an open public record request.
Yes, Oprah.
You can make a request. So everything I'm saying is Oprahable.
Okay, guys, hold on. Let's make sure that we understand this, because Neptune people might not know any of this stuff.
On there, so I know when it's not kosher, and it wasn't kosher in terms of what they were doing, and so consequently I was put off the line. But I'm willing to fight, for our taxpayers and our township. Okay, all right. So listen, do me a favor. Thank you so much. We got a lot of people back there. Go ahead. One more thing. Okay, go ahead. We need to get the ballot. Last township committee, just color in the box and Kevin McMillan write in. I will work for you. I've been in the community for 18 years as a township committee. I've been a resident approximately 30 years, and I will fight for you, and I will watch your dollars. Thank you very much, Pastor. Thank you so much. All right, man, he's giving us some juice. We're going to bring them. I got questions for these people, and if you send questions in, I see there's several people on live with us. If you put the questions in, I'll definitely present them as you place them in. But we have some more people from Asbury as well as Neptune. So I have the funny thing is I live in Neptune. My church is in Asbury, and I have a vested interest in both of these cities because they're just really one. I know they got different areas, but it's really one. So we have people on here from Asbury I want to get to as well, running for council, running for Board of Ed, and so forth. And I want to make sure that we get them up. Now, very quickly, let me throw Tava in there so I can complete this ticket. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, she'll come in and correct me. Let me bring her in. Hello. You unmute yourself. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
Okay. So, with Diane Harris, with Glisson, and so tell us, introduce yourself to us.
I am Tavia Robinson, and I am running with Regina Glisson and Diana Harris on the Neptune Edge ticket. I have been a lifelong resident of Neptune. I actually worked in Neptune schools for 15 years at Gables Elementary School. So I'm slightly biased that Gables is my favorite, but born and raised here in Neptune. And actually, my grandmother worked in Neptune until the day she retired. My grandmother, Janet J. Ross, was a learning disability consultant. My grandmother was actually on the hiring board that hired Dr. Lake. So my history is strong in Neptune, and when I came back from college, I came back to Neptune and wanted to give back, and I'm a legacy as far as educators are concerned. So
are you still working in Neptune?
I am not working in Neptune now. Well, I'm self-employed, so I'm working for myself in Neptune, but not working for the school system. But once a teacher, as far as I'm concerned, always a teacher. My heart is still in education. I was never far removed from it. So here I am. And the one thing that I did.
If you can move over a little bit in camera, they can't see you. A little bit over, a little bit more. A little bit more, they're going to see you. There you go. All right, we got you. Some people are trying to see your face on who you are.
Okay, and it seems like it's going the opposite way than I'm trying to move, so I apologize for that.
You're perfect right now.
Okay, so what I was saying was, once an educator, always an educator. Once a teacher, always a teacher. I see students that I taught in second grade, fifth grade that are now adults. So that shows you how long I've been here. I still get text messages from my friends who are still educators and teaching in Neptune because I was there for so long. Asking questions. They know I was an administrator. I was an administrator for another five years before I started my own business. So they ask me questions. They respect my opinion. And one of the main reasons that I decided to do this now, of course, after being locked in the house and seeing what happened with George Floyd and feeling like if this was almost a message from heaven saying, it's your time to speak up. And I firmly believe that there are things that teachers want to say that they feel like they can't say because they want to keep their jobs.
Okay.
There are things that are happening that they're not comfortable with, that they don't feel like they can go against because fear of retaliation. So I'm a teacher advocate as well as a student advocate. This is where I've paid my taxes, where my family has paid their taxes my entire life. So I want to help the community. And the main reason was I remember when Neptune was strong. I remember being so proud of Neptune. That's why I'm still here. And when I looked at the status of the schools, with every school in Neptune being below standards, I was appalled and disgusted, and it's not acceptable to me. And I know that we are better than that. So it is my hope that I can affect some positive change with the two other women that I'm running with.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, stay tuned. I'm going to bring you all back together and ask you a few questions. We got a few more people that's still on here that I want to get to the forefront, and then I'm going to bring our candidates back in groups together, ask them a few questions, and we'll wrap them up. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much. All right. So we have some people running for in Asbury. Let me switch over to Asbury right quick because I have some Asbury people here and running for city council. I have some running for Board of Ed, and I just want to be able to give them an opportunity to just introduce themselves and then share. I'm going to kind of throw some venison in the pot too, to give them a chance to just kind of ask a question as well, answer a question, very simple question. So I have Felicia Simmons. I think I have Rob here. I don't know if Rob is still on. Looked like he just bounced off. All right, but I have Felicia here, so I'm going to bring her in. Felicia Simmons. Hello.
Hello.
All
How
right.
are you? How are you?
Felicia, why don't you just give a quick who you are, and so to our public.
Okay, well, my name is Felicia Simmons. I am a resident of Asbury Park. I'm what you call purple, and we're talking about Neptune. I went to primary school and middle school in Neptune, but I graduated high school at Asbury Park High. I am running for city council. I'm a two-time elected Board of Education member in Asbury Park. I am an advocate. I am a mother. I am a strong component for affordable living and quality of life. So that's a little bit about me.
Good. All right. So I see Rob just came back in, so that's good. So we'll get him back in there. So here's a question. You're running for city council, right? How do you plan on bridging the divide that this season of politics have created?
Well, I think I'm an advocate for one city and one group of people. My ticket is very diverse, even though it's only one other person. But the people running with me, the community that is backing me and supporting me and finding it not robbery is well diverse from both sides of the track. I have friends and supporters in North Beach as I have on the west side in Bradley Sales. So I have a broad range. My mom says I have a unique ability to go from the trap house to the White House. And I've been to both, right?
Okay. So let me ask you another question. What do you believe to be the top 3 most pressing concerns?
Affordability. Affordability tied into employment. Really, it all stems around living. And to live, you have to have a good job and have an income. And then once you have the good job and have an income, you need to be able to afford a place actually to live. One of the things that I'm a spearhead, I'm also one of the founding members of Asbury Park Affordable Housing Coalition. And what we did was we pushed the Inclusionary Act. We actually developed the plan ourselves inside of our group. And then we gave it to the city. Then it took 3 years to pass. So because it took so long and learning from that, under our form of government, we know we can put petitions so we can put it right to the ballot. So now we have a rent stabilization ordinance that we're circulating at this moment that will cap the ability for the landlord to raise your rent, right? So we can't have jumps where we've heard in our campaign of $300-400, right, in rent. We have apartments, say 3-4 years ago, that were $1,000. Now these apartments are $1,500. I seen an apartment down the street from me on Sewell Avenue. It's a 3-bedroom about to go for $2,650. I don't know who's affording these apartments. I don't know who's doing it, but I know that the average person can't. And even the city knows it. When they're coming up with their fair share bill, they put in there a ordinance called where you can be a family of one making $83,000 a year and be qualified for low income housing or affordable housing in Asbury Park.
That's
and
crazy.
I had to say in this meeting, it is. And I had to say in this meeting, what kind of city are we building where we have to put somebody making almost $100,000 a year in protective housing?
Wow.
We have to really think about those things.
This is not
but that's
real.
happening. Yeah, this is happening real time in Asbury Park. Real time.
Okay. All right. So what I want to do is I got some more people I want to introduce in. I thank you so much for being with. You don't have to go anywhere because I'm gonna bring you back with some
I'm here.
Here. But I thank you so much. I'm going to bring some of our other candidates back forward. Now, I think we have Rob here, and we have one more candidate left, and then we're going to be able to pull us together with just who's here. So, Rob, I'm going to bring you on. Here we go. Rob Mckeon. Hello, sir. Can I hear you? Let me see. We're having an audio problem. Just check your audio for me. So Rob Mckeon used to work in the for our city hall as our zoning, the head of zoning. No, not the head of zoning, excuse me. The head of, it's going right on my head, Rob. You're gonna have to save me. All right, hold on, we're gonna work out this audio. Y'all give me a minute, we're gonna work out Rob's audio and I'm gonna bring him back in. Rob, check the audio for me. And I'll bring you right back in. All right, we have, now I don't want to mess up the hall's name, so I'm going to bring you in. Hey, how's it going? You're muted. I'm bringing you in. Help me pronounce your name right so I don't mess it up. Amen. I don't want to mess it up.
It's Iman Mtumbe Hall.
Iman Mtumbe Hall. Yeah. I met, Christian, of course. I know Christian. I know Malcolm. This is the first time I'm meeting you. Introduce yourself very quickly.
So I'm Iman Mtumbe Hall. I was born and raised in Asbury Park. I grew up in Asbury Park, and I'm actually alumni at Asbury Park School District. I'm running for the Board of Education, along with my running mate, Anthony Remy. And what we're running is Children First. That's our title.
Okay.
And pretty much we want to put the children first. Me specifically, I want to build new relationships with trade schools as far as skill development in trades, because personally, me coming up in the school district, I didn't feel like I was well aware of the options as far as doing vocational or doing a trade. So that's the kind of things I want to implement in the school district, along with the allotting of the money that's going on with the school district as far as the per student cost being over $45,000 per student in the school district.
Wow.
So, and then also, as well as being aware that Asbury is spending money on a building that's being rented for about $20,000 a month. That's not even no student access, and it's just a building for the administration. And they closed down the Barack Obama school. So there's a few things that, the school district needs some changes. And that's what I'm pretty much willing to take that seat in.
Okay. So let me ask you one question since you said that. So what do you feel like the first priority would be for you if you were to get elected?
First priority. First priority is children first. Like I said, as far as the per student costs and the money that's being spent, that's not going towards more programs, more mentorship programs, after school programs, and things like that that actually involve the students.
Okay.
And that way, we're always keeping the children first.
All right. Well, thank you, Iman. I appreciate you. You can stay on. I do have some other questions. Love to ask it. We're not going to stay much longer. We're on our first 30 minutes. Thank you so much, and I'll bring you back in. All right, let's get Rob in here, and then so let's see. We have audio.
Is that better?
Oh, we got audio.
See?
I was messing up. I put you in code enforcement. That was not.
That was the old days. Now it's the director of property improvement and neighborhood preservation.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So talk to us. Introduce everybody to you. Most of our people probably don't know you. You've been in the background for a little bit as far as working in the city. You've been in the city, but tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Robert, for having me tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to your folks at Triumphant Life. And, I just want to let everybody know that this gentleman's always been kind of a mentor to me and always kind of looked out for me. And from the day I started working for the city. And so I've always appreciated that. He's always been an honest guy. And when I was wrong, he told me I was wrong. And then he protected me when I needed to be protected. So I thank you. Anyway.
Thank you.
So what was the question? I'm sorry. You want to know?
What do you, you're going, tell the people what you're going for and what you're running for. And if you want to give one idea that you'd like to see if you get elected.
Sure. So I am a guy who never worked in public sector before this last 6 years that I was in there, and so it was kind of different to me, and I got a real eye-opening experience, and so I have the ability now to come to the council as a council member and bring a different perspective. So I'm a fresh perspective, I think, and a new voice. And I can represent the voices of the people that I went out and dealt with in the community firsthand. I was in people's homes when they were going through problems on a daily basis, and some pretty serious problems. A lot of them had to do with housing and property and substandard housing issues and landlord-tenant stuff, and all the things that people live with. Mm-hmm. And so I dealt with the people in their homes, and I got to know people firsthand, and I got to help them with. It led to relationships that I had, and I helped them with other problems in their lives. So I kind of think that I have a different outlook and a different perspective that I could bring to the council that is missing right now. They all, when I say they, I don't want to talk badly about the current council because I think they've done some great things, but I think we can do better. And I think that I would be able to bring that missing piece. I'm a practicing attorney for 32 years in New Jersey. I have a real estate and real estate development background, zoning and planning work. I've done landlord-tenant work, transactional work, and municipal work. So I have that whole background of legal experience that I bring to the table. And in addition to that, I've got 30 years of doing charitable, not-for-profit, civic, and community work and fundraising work for various organizations in Ocean and Monmouth County. And that's always been my love since I started in my career, is getting involved with the community and doing work to help people in the community.
Now, I want to throw a question at you. I hope it won't throw you too far off.
Yep.
So much with city government, I'm coming back around with all of our candidates and ask this question. So I'm starting with you from the back end. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in Asbury Park?
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually number one thing on my platform. Okay. Is that this government needs to be more open, more transparent, and more involving of the public. So for some reason, I'm not sure why, and as I said, I'm not going to bash the council, but it's just a habit that I think that they've fallen into, is that a lot of the public's business is done in closed session. So you'll see less and less people attending council meetings because people don't go to the council meetings anymore because there's nothing discussed. Everything's discussed in the back rooms, and they come out and it's already decided. Wow. And there's no input. There's no discussion with the public. Big issues like this, lots of issues on the table for Asbury Park. It's not just about affordable housing. It's not just about policing. It's not about crime. There's a whole variety of issues that should be discussed in the public forum, and it's just not happening. And so that would be the first thing, is I would change the way that the council operates and functions, and involve more of the public and do more of the city's business in public.
That's good. Love it. All right, Rob, let me bring, I want to bring our three ladies in and kind of wrap us up. We're in our last leg of this.
Okay.
And stay tuned, and I'll bring you back in.
Keep my audio on.
All right. Yes. All right. So I'm going to bring Diane Harris. I don't know if Regina and Tava, are y'all still there? I know you guys muted your picture. I want to bring them all back in, and I know I still have Kevin on here, and I think Kevin's going to give us the last juicy stuff. I know he talked about the Oprah stuff, but I'm going to get juicier with him. Y'all want to stay tuned, because I didn't want to let him off the hook, but we need to get all the juice of Neptune, because Neptune be hiding some stuff. I'm a resident, long-lived resident, and there's some hidden stuff that's not talked about. But before we get there, the Board of Education elections is going to be, let's bring this thing on. I want to bring these three amazing women back into our stream. Let me bring them all in. Boom. There we go. All right, we got you all in here. And I think one of you will get the audio. Javier, let me put the audio down just a tad. Bring your audio. You're on your double audio. Okay. So listen. Let's get into the question, ladies. I want to talk about several aspects. You mentioned why you're running for Board of Education, but let me get to each one of you. Can you hear me?
There's a lot of feedback.
Feedback. Let me see. Hold on, let me just check. Okay. Check 1, 2. Are you getting feedback now?
That's better.
Yeah, I think Tavia, you have some audio interference that's clipping me in our audio, giving us interference. I'm gonna bring you back on. I need, if you lower your audio for a second, it'll help me a little bit, and then I'll see if that's gonna change it. So, but she can hear the question, and I'm gonna bring her back in. Okay, I know, because I think her audio is clipping my audio. So the question is simply this: what is the number one priority for you three ladies if you get elected? Like, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I live here. I still feel like they're so intimate. I'm gonna be honest. I have my kids in Neptune. My daughter graduated from Neptune. I pulled my son from Neptune because of some areas and so forth. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be forthright. Since I'm talking to y'all, I'm gonna talk real. They felt like all the learning could only be done one way. Like, they took away books at one point, and it was like my son couldn't learn with no book. So I had to take my son out of Neptune because they took away the books. And I was like, they wanted to go all digital before we even went digital, before we had to. And even now, my son is learning how to do digital education, but he needs a book. So book learning. So tell me what I'm giving you. Y'all, I'm throwing some venison in the pot. What tripped me up? But what's the one priority, if each one of you can answer? Tavi, I'm going to bring you back in. Don't worry. And so give me one priority that you think would be key. Diane or Regina, whichever one would like to go first.
Well, I think for all of us, the main thing is to improve the performance of the school, because as Regina had talked about earlier, we have schools that are performing way below the average, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think 4% of them are, in math, and then I forget what the percentage is.
ELA as well as math.
Yeah, it is. It's language arts. But what I'm saying is that, finding those scores is one thing, but digging deeper to find out where the problems are and what type of learning. Like you said with your son, not all kids learn the same way. So you have to figure out how they learn, and then you have to be able to teach them where they are. And a lot of this not only comes with finding out how to learn, but making sure the teachers know how to teach them, at whatever level. So what this also works into is professional development of our staff. to make sure that they understand how to teach kids that are coming from various economic backgrounds. They all don't learn, they're all going to learn differently. They don't all have the same resources. Some of them can afford tutors, some of them can't afford tutors. It's various things. And like one administrator said to me, and I think it's key, she said, you have a child in Neptune, oceanfront property that could be sitting next to a child that lives in a shelter. That's
Wow.
how drastic.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah.
So how do you change something like that? I mean, what is the answer to that type of situation?
Yeah. Well, look at how teachers, well, that's not our job as a board. So we really
Right.
have to, we have to put pressure, on the person that we are responsible for, and that's the superintendent.
Okay. No, I just wanted you to get that out there. That's good.
That's our one person that we have is our direct employee. We're not supposed to get, so they tell us, not supposed to get involved in the day-to-day of what's going on. So it always has to point back to her as to what you are doing, what have you identified, what plan do you have in order to get fixed. Okay, the onus goes where it is.
Okay, Regina, you want to answer that?
Yes. So again, being a person that likes to look at the metrics, because we'll tell you a lot of information. You first have to delve further into the reports to identify trends. Why are the scores what they are? Which demographic group that is suffering the most? And quite frankly, right now, the majority being Black, they're the Black children. There are studies that show if children have teachers that look like them, they tend to be more successful in school. And there's some specific numbers that we can offer. If you go to our website and look, we can post it and provide the percentages and the references that lend to that. So you first have to identify that. And what it comes down to is, as Diana, my running mate, has said, the superintendent has a big job. And the board's job is such that we need to monitor that she's doing the job and that she's identifying these trends and then implementing some initiatives to turn it around. And so it's not just to say we're going to wait a full year of school and then look back and say, well, the children have failed. But we have to set up individual monitoring tools, the superintendent, to study why are these children failing, which group is, because each school's culture is different.
Yeah.
Okay, as Diana said, you can have a child that's living in a shelter versus, a $500,000 plus home. So that's a social dynamic there that that doesn't mesh well for success. Okay, now being the youngest of 9, I understand what that was like as well. We weren't a wealthy family, so I had to learn other ways on how to become successful. We were the first Black family in an all-white neighborhood. But still in my school, I can recall Mrs. Levette. She was my second or third grade teacher, but she was a woman of color. And then fourth grade teacher. And so I had the experience of having teachers that looked like my mother that many of these students do not have.
Right.
So, and as well as the males, if you have a Black male teacher as well, then it's something that they can emulate. They can idolize them. So
you're saying something.
To identify.
You're saying something I need to come back to teacher hiring. So I want to give Tava a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I want to come back around to that question.
Mm-hmm.
Hiring teachers. I agree with what you're saying. So I want to talk about that. Just get y'all each to answer that, or one of you to stand up and answer that. Let me give Tava the opportunity to speak on the priority. What will be her priority coming on the board? Tava, come on back and let's see. We're going to see if we can mute everybody else and just give you the floor. Go ahead.
Well, definitely, I agree with everything that my two running mates said. The performance of students is what came to mind to me at first, because that's what made me say things have to change. The status quo is no longer going to work, so it's definitely time for us to really dig into the data and make some adjustments. That is definitely needed. But key to that is the fact that since I've been here and looked at the administrators that were there when I used to work there, the principals that were there when I used to work there, and specifically the African American administrators and principals and assistant superintendents that have left, have not been replaced with people that look like me. And it is important. I remember being a teacher and being happy to see the superintendent was an African American. And then when it was a woman, because that doesn't always happen. So I was excited about those things. And I remember that. And as those people left, they were not replaced by people that look like us. It was surprising to many of my friends. I've taught in Neptune for 15 years, and most people realized that it was kind of majority minority students. They could not believe that there were not many African American teachers that worked in the district, period. In my building, there were only 2 at the time. So,
and I think that's going to be my question. Hold on. So that's my question to you guys, and I think you Tava, you're getting into it. So how do you diversify the teacher staff or the administrative, whatever you want to, I want to say administrative staffing? I know you have one employee that you guys govern. How do you diversify this teaching staff? How do we hire more people that look like a balance of who they're teaching?
Your recruitment efforts.
Okay, recruitment.
Your recruitment efforts have to be geared towards that specifically. And again, the superintendent, there just has to be that open dialogue, because there are metrics that are quantifiable that will show, based on the number of teachers that are African American, Black, if a child of color has that experience, their success goes up exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to go to Rumson and you were to go to Rumson School, what will those teachers look like?
Right.
If you went to Fairhaven, what will those teachers look like? They would look like that community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Diane, you want to say anything?
I think they talk about pipelines into the schools, you know, where are you going? You have to encourage kids from the door that teaching is really an honorable profession. And they have to go, and it has to be exciting for them in order to want to keep in the back of their mind. It's like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a teacher. I want to be someone who works with children. But, you know, I have talked to the superintendent because I am one of the incumbents, you know, and I asked her in the beginning, I said, well, what are you doing as far as recruiting of kids? Well, you know, it was a typical, you know, well, we go to the colleges and we look for the African-American students. And, you know, I said, but what are you doing to attract them? I remember when I taught in New Brunswick, which is where I retired, and when the flip came over to the majority of our students being Hispanic children, I went away on one summer and then came back, and there was a whole slew of Spanish-speaking teachers that were hired into that school district because they purposely went after them, all right, and offered them opportunities, job opportunities that they couldn't say no to. All right. So you looking for those teachers and really stretching out. I believe at the state level, they also have a department that will help you to find minority teachers. But Neptune has to go after and look for help in order to get that done. It's not just going to those to these HBCUs. That's great. That's wonderful. But getting the kids that actually live here, that are kids of color, and making school such an exciting experience that they want to come back. Like Tavia came back, you know, and come back to your own school and want to give back to your community. And the only way you're going to do that, you got to make it exciting for the kids. You really do. And we have to kind of nurture them at an early age.
All right. Listen, I got some more people that are joining in with I got Joe Gorilla just came in our backstage and so forth. Hey, I want to thank you, ladies. Is there anything else? I mean, closing up, wrapping up that you guys like to share? We're in the voting mode, guys. We're in the voting mode. Let's go vote. Let's do this. We're going to do this.
Yes, vote 4, 5, 6.
All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. I appreciate you. Let's go vote. 3 powerful women for Neptune Board of Education. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. All right, we're rounding this thing up. I hope this wasn't too long, but I still have Kevin McMillan, which I want to get him out of here. Not rushing him out of here, but he's been on with me from the beginning, and I'm grateful for that. And I have Rob, Felicia, and Joe Gorilla. I want to kind of wrap it up with them, but let's get Kevin in here. Kevin, you were giving us the juice, the dirt. He was giving us the tea on Neptune. And listen, I just want to say this. I want him, he kind of alluded, you have to go in and write in. I've not touched mine yet, as y'all can see, but he's saying, show yours, Kevin, because you got the spot.
Okay. You have your ballot, you go to Township Committee, you go all the way down to the end, and you circle, you color in. And
move it over to the left a little bit. Move over to the other side.
Oh,
there you go, right there. No, you were right. Go back.
On this side?
Right there. Right there.
So you go to Township Committee, then you go all the way to the end, color in the box, and write in Kevin McMillan.
Awesome. All right. So, Kevin, very quickly, is there anything else you'd like to say, share?
I just let you know, Neptune has a $45 million budget. And with respect to COVID, we're going to need somebody in there that knows what's going on with the expenditures. Because right now, we have a decent tax collection rate. But as we go on and we realize the real financial impacts of the coronavirus, those things, we're going to be challenging in terms of trying to diversify our revenue. So you need someone in there that has experience in doing that. And if you just look around, look at Ruby Tuesdays. It's closed. It's gone forever. You go to Freehold Mall, Nordstrom's are gone. Yep. So there's an underlying economic current that's going to impact us in a negative way. And we need someone there that's going to be fiscally responsible. And we can't afford to have professionals that are not competent in their duties that cost us money. So all I was going to say, vote early and often, make your vote count. It's very important. Go from the bottom up because that impacts you the most.
That's it. That's good. Thank you so much. He said something really powerful.
They can holler at me at Facebook. I'll return your call.
Oh, there you go. If you have any questions with Kevin, hit him on Facebook. Hit him on Facebook. But I like what he said, from the bottom up. People think it's about the presidency. The presidency is good, but the bottom up, the people that are locally around you, the Board of Education, the people running for council are the key to your voting. So thank you so much for Kevin. For being with us.
God bless you all.
God bless. All right. So listen, I got Rob and Felicia still left in here, and Joe Gorilla going for Board of Education for Asbury Park. And I know we have residents that are in from there as well. So I want to bring them back on. Let me get Rob in here, and I know Felicia. I know you're there, Felicia. Don't worry, I know you're there. It's okay. So I'm going to bring Rob in here, wrap him up. I got Joe Gorilla that just came in. I want to get him up, get everybody up to speed on who he is. So don't go nowhere. This is really important. He said from the bottom up. I love that. These are the people that affect your lives directly. So let me bring Rob in here. Rob, we got introduced to you. I have some questions,
Sure.
Some more questions I want to get you to think about. There's so much division in this political arena. How do you plan on bridging the divide in this season of politics that it has created if you get elected? I mean, there's so much divide across the nation and so forth, but locally, what do you do? I mean, from our policing to our community,
well,
what do you plan to do?
So you and I had a conversation recently, and I thought more about it, and it kind of led to some more ideas that I had. And I think that the answer is, I mean, as in any relationships, communication. And I think that people need to understand each other. I think the way that begins is for people to sit down and be open to hearing each other and talking. And so you need to bring in all the facets of government and the community leaders, civic leaders, church leaders, people from the community, youth leaders, the police, housing authority, and bring them all to the table. And we talked about it. And there should be regular conversations. They should be talking regularly about the problems that are common to all of them. And the roots of those problems are really common to all of them. And figuring out, like, how do we address those problems from the bottom and where they start?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's the beginning. I don't know that, the solution is going to happen overnight. I mean, for example, the gun issue, the gun violence issue, that's an epidemic all over the country.
Yeah.
And, we talked about the statistics here, and maybe they've gone down a little, but it's still a problem. One incident is too much. Yeah. So,
I think
why are kids running around the streets with guns?
Yeah, let me stop you, because you said something so big, and I want our audience to hear this. I want people to hear this. Our government, our local government, from the Board of Education, and Joe, I'm bringing you in next. This is my major question. Why isn't and maybe this is happening in Asbury, and it's not happening in Neptune. I don't know if it's happening in Neptune. I should have asked this question before we let our candidates go. Why, I don't know, do the Board of Education, City Council, Housing Authority, all of the police department, do they ever sit at a table together and talk and kind of make a unified plan together? Does that ever happen? I don't know. Are you aware of this?
Can you bring Joe in with us?
Yeah, sure. Joe he's the gorilla.
There he is.
Joe.
So how you doing?
Gorilla audience. He is running for Asbury Park Board of Education, but he is a monster across the board. I mean, he has his hands everywhere. He's been a community a force. Partnered with him on several initiatives and worked with him, and he is phenomenal. So let me just say that. So I validate him, so he don't have to validate himself. I want to get him, I want to get him to talk. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to, Kevin said it best, where it's from the bottom up, right? So the answer to a lot of these, well, there's no easy answer, right? And there's no simple answer. You could say, you can always come up with a bumper sticker saying that, will please the crowds, right? But at the end of the day, we have in both Neptune and in Asbury, a lot of people that really care about our children and their parents. And this goes, this isn't a partisan thing. I think everybody that even puts themselves out there to run for office, I look to their better angels, and I know that people like Rob and even Felicia. Hi, Felicia. You're so cozy.
Yeah, Felicia.
I have your back. And this is all
Felicia,
of
I didn't mean to exclude you.
Yeah, no, this is Asbury here. So
yeah.
I got Asbury. I might as well bring all of Asbury. No one else is on our backstage. So this is all of Asbury running here. So I just figured I'd bring us all in.
God help us.
Conflict here, I hope.
Here we go.
But no, I really think that every single person that is either a public servant or a community activist or is running for office, they're doing it for the right reasons. And they all have a role to play, because none of us have the answer. There is not one silver bullet, because there have been much smarter people, that have come before us that could have figured out that silver bullet. Right. And they haven't. And a lot of times, most of the stuff, and Rob and Felicia know this because they've been in the room when it happens, a lot of the hard work happens at a table, at a bar, and it's not sexy. You're not sitting there with a megaphone and a microphone. You're sitting there really going over sometimes stuff that's really boring, but it's super important to the community, whether it's trying to figure out, how to create equity between the two sides of Asbury Park, whether it's trying to figure out, trying to solve the systemic problems that exist both in Neptune and in Asbury Park. People say it all the time. It's like, two towns, one tribe, right?
Yep.
And it requires an all-in attitude where we put aside our egos, we put aside all kinds of personal bad blood, and we just do the work. You know, like I always tell people, look, I'm not a know-it-all, but I try to be a do-it-all. And the same thing with Rob, and the same thing with Felicia. So I think it really matters that we continue these dialogues and make sure that not only do we hold our elected officials, including me, accountable, but to have those discussions as well and to have that dialogue together.
So let me jump in and ask one question. Oh. Go ahead, Felicia. You want to add something?
Yes, I want to say it's the dialogue, and then it's also the action. I think we've had a lot of panels throughout the decade, and we've had a lot of committees throughout the decade, and we had a lot of studies and a lot of audits and a lot of, right? And some of the basic part of the silver bullet is that everybody's voices matter, right? So that means I have a piece, you may have a piece, you may have a piece, but all have to come to the table with equity, equal weight. And then together you make a plan that kind of pulls everybody, like they just said, from the bottom up, because you're only as strong as your foundation. So if your foundation is weak, so is every plan and everything you build on it. So coming together with a good plan, hearing everybody's voice, because it's basic. We need stability, right? We need value. We need education. We need jobs. We need housing. So how do we get those things? And then after we get those things, and when I was jumping when you said, has everybody sat at the table? No, but to be honest, I sat at almost every table, but I'm about to sit at the next one is the council seat, right? So that's the next table I'm sitting at.
I'm about to sit at another table.
That's going to be my next seat, right? God willing, God bless, But we have to put everybody at the table. I went to the tax assessor when I was on the board. In the city council, the board, he didn't want any part of it, saying, can you work with Mr. Hastings? Because there's about to be some hits coming, right? And this was 6 years ago, right? So in all these things, everybody's voice has to come together and put the puzzle together with policy, a real laid out policy, not just, standard practice. We all run by standard practice. Well, I seen him do it and he did it that way. But that's not what's on paper. And we're only as strong as what we put on paper. Because after we leave, then somebody else has another initiative. But if we leave something on paper and our policy and guidelines, then that's real structures, or the next people can build on it instead of continue to just flail about.
So go ahead.
I
just want to add to that. So we can have all the policies and the meetings and the discussions and writing these plans up as we want, but there's never, the problem is there has to be follow through. There has to be action taken on all these plans, and we could talk hours and hours and have meeting after meeting after meeting.
Hours.
It's the key is the follow through and whether we ever implement those policies.
Let me give you all one question to answer as I wrap this up, because I said I was going to try to stay 1 hour, the most difficult thing in the world. I know my listeners, thank you so much for staying on. Those who have been with me for the whole time, I see you. I appreciate you.
By the way, you need to give us more notice next time.
I know. Look, you know what? This fell on my heart.
You lucky I'm always willing to talk. Right. I'm always willing to talk.
On my heart yesterday, and I said, you know what? I'm doing it. After that, and I said, I'm going to get on here and do it. So I apologize. Definitely need to do more of this. So thank y'all for jumping in last minute. Joe literally just seen my Facebook post because I didn't have his cell phone number. So I literally had to Facebook post him, and I hate getting Facebook posts. I Facebooked him, and he said, I just seen this. I said, come in whenever you want. Thank you, Joe.
I was washing dishes.
So here's a quick question. Let's wrap up on this question. If elected, what's the one step you would take to put a new idea in place to make the city a better place?
Ooh.
One step. One thing.
Just one thing? You can start with Rob. I'm trying to wiggle it down.
It's just based on my experience.
One thing that you would do.
No, Felicia, go ahead.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I said start with Rob. I'm trying to whittle.
Okay.
All right. All right.
So,
you twist my arm. Give me 2 steps, 2 things that you would see that are things that you want to put something in place. What is that thing in place? And what's the 2 steps? So like, okay, you said housing. What's the step to I mean, we have gentrification happening on a major level in Asbury Park. I mean, what's the one step?
Rent stabilization. Rent stabilization is the first thing, right? Rent, and it has to be, and we look, I'm not trying to tell somebody how much they charge for their apartment or whatever, or go back and recreate the wheel, but we have to stop and start and say, what are we going to do for the people who are here? Not that we want to come, not the $6 million condos, but the person that lives in the apartment, which almost 80% as of the last census are renters. 80% of the town are renters. So under that, how do we stop it? We stabilize it. We go with the national index to make sure that so that we don't go we're fair, right? 4 to 2%. Then we have a committee. The ordinance, we drew it up. We're circulating it, right? So if I get in or not, this will go to vote by the people unless the city council adopts it. So first, we're going to keep the people here to make sure that they can afford to live here. Then we work on the taxes, because we opted into this plan that we assessed, and Neptune opted into it too. But Neptune's a little bit different. It hasn't had the growth that we had. Yeah. So after we finish this plan that we opted into, we have to start working on rateables. Like I said, it's so much. Okay. But if we're going to start working on plans to stabilize our rent.
I'll take that one. Rob, you want to jump in? Give me
one. Rent stabilization.
Rent stabilization.
Okay, and Felicia knows I disagree with ordinance, but we've talked about that before. But as far as the affordable housing thing goes, I think that the council has adopted all these new policies and these new ordinances that they adopted this year. But the thing is, before we can go and adopt new affordable housing policies, we need to get the ones we had in effect right first, and we need to make sure that we're implementing those first, and we need to make sure that we have the people that are putting those plans into effect that are competent and they're trained and they're certified in those areas. I mean, there's so many things where money's being wasted, and money's just sitting there not being used right now for years.
True enough.
For affordable housing issues, and it's just sitting there. And before we even get to worried about new stuff, let's deal with the stuff we have and make sure we're dealing with it correct. And then the other thing I think is the fiscal waste and inefficiency that goes on in the government. And I can speak to that firsthand. And that's one of my pet peeves. That's one of the first things I want to address is let's figure out how to, maybe we're not going to decrease people's taxes drastically, but certainly we can provide better quality municipal services to people for the taxes they're paying.
Awesome. Okay. Joe, come on, give it to us.
So I'm thinking about this in a way where it doesn't sound too boring, okay? And because there's so much that needs to get done, right? I mean, I'll tell you this much. In terms of Asbury Park, our kids, our children, our students are really just performing so well when it comes to post-high school career readiness and college readiness. We just graduated our first cohort of the Dream Academy, where and there's a similar thing in Neptune, right? Where students, high school seniors, can graduate with a diploma and also an associate's degree from Brookdale. And that's just incredible. But we have a lot of other career readiness programs that are out there, partnerships with Allied Health and engineering. And this year we just started a performing arts track. And when you speak to the class of 2020 that just graduated, this one guy, he actually works in a cafe downtown right below my house. And he goes, and I'm like, and we're having a conversation, and he and I asked him, what do you want to be? He goes, I want to be a carpenter. Like, I don't know, I'm going to go to Brookdale, but I want to be a carpenter. This 18-year-old is going to be a millionaire by the time he's 28, because he's got this track and he's got this laser-like focus on, I know what I want to be. And I think if we can instill into the student body and continue to instill that kind of hope that there's life beyond Ridge Avenue, you know, that there's life beyond Route 18, that there's a whole world out there, that I'm telling you, the future is looking so bright with our students. It's really incredible, just to conversate with them. But in terms of policy, the one thing that I want to bring is participatory budgeting. Participatory budgeting is something that originated actually in Brazil, of all places. And it's where the community decides where there's a chunk of money that is set aside, where the community actually gets together and decides where that money is going to go.
Wow.
Right. Like through direct democracy.
Oh my
and
God.
so, right. If you look it up, I mean, you could go to participatorybudgeting.org and it's fantastic. I'll put it in the chat. And this isn't some crazy radical thing. It was maybe 20 years ago. It started coming up in New York and a couple other cities. It's in Freehold Borough now in the city. Like Mayor Kevin Kane in Freehold Borough sets aside a piece of the budget where the community comes in. Here's the best part. You don't have to be a registered voter. You don't even have to be 18 to participate in the process.
Wow.
You could even be undocumented and be part of the process. So if you wanted to do, let's say, you wanted a part of the city budget or the school budget for that matter, to go towards a human relations advisory committee or a social justice committee or a playground or a free medical clinic, partnering with a nonprofit hospital for a free medical clinic on the West Side, you can vote on that. You can actually decide to do that. So participatory budgeting is something, it's almost like kind of like a pet idea of mine that I think, I don't speak about it too much, but it's something that could really revolutionize a lot of the talk that Felicia was talking about, that we always talk, and actually bring the community into a direct democracy with the local government.
Wow.
I think that, and also, that is something, participatory budgeting is something that can really be a game changer.
All right. Hey guys, listen, I know I'm at my time marker. I see you guys dwindling down, but I'm so grateful for those who stayed on. And maybe if you missed any part of this, please go back. We got Joe Guerrillo running for Asbury Board of Education. We have Felicia Simmons running for City Council for Asbury Park. And we have Robert Mckeon also running for Asbury City Council.
Pastor Akins, really quick, I just want to put a plug in for my team. It's Karita Cook, Joe Grillo, and Wendy Glassman. I hope everyone comes out and votes regardless of who they vote for.
Let's vote. Let's vote, guys. All right. Hey, guys, thank you so much for coming on last minute, talking to all the people. Rob, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, Reverend, can we get a little clip of this? Can you send us?
This is on YouTube. This is on Facebook as well. So you can go right on our YouTube, Triumph for Life YouTube, and grab the whole thing and take any clip you want from it. Those who are on YouTube with us, thank you so much. And so thank you guys for joining in with us. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. All right, we did it. I tried to bring you the diversity of Asbury Park. Now, I'm sure we missed people. Thank you. Joe Guerrillo really just did a great job of just kind of telling his ticket. I think I missed Felicia. I don't know who's running with your ticket. Felicia, who's running with you? I'm sorry.
Carrie Butch.
Carrie Butch, okay.
Carrie Butch.
Thank you. So I tried to just be, I know I missed a whole bunch of people that are running in Asbury and in Neptune. I couldn't get to them all. I'm not picking out these people particularly, but they were the one willing to jump in. So I'm just grateful that they just jumped in. So listen, just vote. My thing was tonight is to get you to see the candidates and go vote. And from the bottom up, I love that. Stop being so concerned about the president. Please vote for a president. Don't not vote, but please. But and I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. Please go vote. I didn't realize there was so many people running for president. There's a Green Party, United Party. There's all sorts of people running. But please vote. Don't not vote. But the key element is bottom up means this. These people who are running for committee, your freeholder. I wish I could get the freeholders on here. Maybe next week I'll try to get the freeholders because many people don't know what your freeholders do. They manage the whole budget, every road and every parking lot. They got a lot of money that they manage, and you need to know about what they do. We got our county clerk and so forth and so on. So listen, guys, and don't forget on the back, there's public questions. Answer the questions, read the questions, know what's going on about the questions. Don't just ignore this stuff. All right. So I'm so grateful. Thank you, Joe, once again for coming in. Thank you, Felicia, for coming in. And for the team that they represent, please go out and find out and know the teams, know what they stand for. Thank you so much. I'm going to log off of here because I know I've been talking so long, but I'm so grateful for this time together. Hey, thank you so much. This is none of this are the views and necessary of Triumphant Life, but this is our platform, Triumphant Life, so that I can get you to understand how important this is. So please go vote. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you all and have a great night. Joe, thank